Hey folks, it's Chad here with Airstream of Greensboro. We're going to do a Tech Tuesday for you today. Have you got to the campsite with your Airstream and had rivets popped on the inside, all of your pillows are laying in the floor, the mattresses are slid off, all of that kind of stuff, and you've wondered what in the world happened? We're going to talk about what might cause that today. So we're going to talk tire pressure today, and I know this is a hot topic in the Airstream community, and I do want to say, make sure you definitely do your own research. Look at what the Goodyear tire manufacturer is recommending, or Michelin, whichever tire that you decide to have on your camper. Most of us are going to have Goodyear Endurance because that's what most Airstreams come with, and I want to talk about those specifically today. So the recommended tire pressure from Airstream is 80 psi, and I'm going to show you that real quick. Let me flip the camera around. So if you come down here and you look for your cold tire pressure, it says 80 psi. Now here's the thing about 80 psi for the Goodyear Endurance tire. If you were to pull the Goodyear Endurance tire chart, which I've done, and you should totally Google that, and I'll actually just link the PDF down below in the description so you can go look at this yourself. At 11,000 or 80 psi is going to be roughly an 11,000 pound trailer. Well, this does not weigh 11,000 pounds. The gross vehicle weight rating for this particular camper is 7,300 pounds, and that's basically Airstream saying this should never weigh more than 7,300 pounds total. Like that's your max weight with your, stuff that you put into it and when it actually weighs. So why would we put it at 80 psi? When the 80 psi max payload is 11,000 pounds. So that's the question I want to ask. Now, the thing is, I get calls all the time from customers who have just picked up, and I had a customer that actually picked up in Texas and then drove all the way back over here to North Carolina, and they got here and they called me and they said, Chad, we've had a few rivets in the interior, the pop rivets have come out, all of our pillows and everything were in the floor, and it felt like the Airstream was like jumping around on the road. And so I said, well, what was the PSI? What's your tire pressure? And she said, well, it's 80. Isn't that what's recommended? So I went through this whole thing with her, and she goes, oh, okay. And so they lowered the tire pressure and then said, oh, it tows so much better, all those kinds of things. And I think you're going to experience the same thing. So here's what I'm going to say. You're going to look up the Goodyear tire chart. I'm talking specifically about the Endurance tire. These are ST225/75 R15s. You're going to take your gross vehicle weight, and maybe a little bit more. You'll have to kind of decide what you want to do. Some people talk about weighing your camper so you get the actual weight of it and then taking that number and dividing it. I do think you should weigh your camper. I think you should know how much it weighs and make sure you're not over your gross vehicle weight rating. But I don't know if that's necessarily the best way to do your tire pressure. What I like to do is to take the max vehicle weight rating, so the gross vehicle weight rating, and put a little bit on that, so add a little bit to it. For this, you would be looking at somewhere around 40 to 45 psi to get a 7,300 pound payload capacity. I would probably go up to maybe 50 psi, and that would give you, I think, an 8,000 pound payload capacity. But you can look at that chart and kind of decide what would fit best for you, but you want to at least be over what your tire pressure, your payload is, what your gross vehicle payload is. You want to at least be over that. The other thing I'm going to recommend too is make sure you have tire pressure monitor sensors so that you can see what's happening with your tires, whether the tire pressure is going up or going down, and especially you can catch a flat before something really bad happens while you're going down the road. Because a lot of times the only way to know that you have a flat is to look at or to see something happening with the tire TPMS system. All right, I know that was a lot of information, but click the link, look at the tire pressure monitor or the tire payload chart from Goodyear. Look at what your gross vehicle weight rating is for your camper and just see what it might look like if you lowered your tire pressure a little bit, at least less than 80 psi. If you guys have any questions, feel free to throw those down in the comments. I hope you're living riveted. We'll see you down the road. Thanks.